A year ago, George Floyd was killed on camera. His death led to mass protest in the US. But it also inspired a movement here in the UK. People demanding change. This is Stuart Lawrence. He wants to find out why a murder 4,000 miles away at the hands of US police meant so much to so many in this country.
I was at home on the sofa with my wife, my son. A video came on, no warning or nothing beforehand. My son was then saying, "Why is the policeman kneeling on the man's neck for?" It made me feel sick. It made me feel sick.
This is personal for Stuart. In 1993, his older brother was murdered by a racist gang. His name was Stephen Lawrence. In the weeks after, tens of thousands took to the streets of East London.
There was a lot of anger around because, again, it was another murder. It just felt like they weren't interested in doing anything. There was a lot of frustration and anger from a lot of young people at the time.
Among the crowd was one of Stephen's best friends.
When Stephen died, I think everyone was just had enough. It was just an element of fear, injustice, and almost, I would say, we wanted to fight back.
So it started off quite peaceful, I understand, because I wasn't there. I was 16 at the time.
You were too young.
I was too young. So Mum and Dad definitely won't let me out on that one.
There was a moment when the police pinned everybody in, and then bottles started flying, and police started smashing people. It was scary. The 93 March, I think it paved the way to where we are today in some respects, because it made national news. But most of it was down to your parents, Stu. You know, they never gave up.
Stephen Lawrence's killing became one of the country's highest profile unsolved murders.
I was very angry because it just, as I said, we told them who it was. Lots of people were trying to tell them who it was. And they weren't doing anything.
There was one MP in particular that helped the Lawrence family. Stuart wants to meet her for the first time.
We took your mother to see Jack Straw, who was the shadow Home Secretary at that time. It was a Tory government. Your mother just blew him away. She just completely blew him away. He went into the meeting with Doreen, sceptical, having been told by the Metropolitan Police not to get too involved, and he came out having promised her an inquiry. I mean, the extraordinary thing about the Macpherson inquiry was Macpherson was the first kind of establishment figure to talk about institutional racism. That really changed attitudes in the society as a whole.
Black lives matter! 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 Black lives matter!
I'm not the type of person that goes on protests, I'll be honest. So I was quite apprehensive, nervous.
1 year on from the BLM protests, Stuart has come to meet a well-known activist who was there.
Everyone wants to see and demonstrate and feel that there's been meaningful change and things are different. And as I said, you can tell by today, people don't feel like things have changed and things are.
I don't.
So
I don't feel like things have changed. I feel like we have progressed in certain areas. But the biggest issue that I found is our lack of understanding in regards to racism.
Yeah.
Because to this day, since 1999, when Macpherson report came out and expressed the fact that the police were institutionally racist, in 2021 we are still debating that conversation.
Shella, what are you doing on TV, Shella? Shella, you turn movie star, Shella.
Brixton Soup Kitchen feeds and cares for the homeless in the local community.
So Stuart, this is our kitchen. This is where the magic happens.
beautiful. So since Black Lives Matters and we've lost George Floyd over in America, how's that affected you and your local community?
I feel like it's had a big effect because it's brought back emotions from so much other things that have happened in this country. Obviously, we're not used to seeing people directly being killed on camera by police, but you know, there's been a lot of brutality, whether it be racist attacks or whether it be people dying in police stations and there's no information. So it wasn't just about America, it was a worldly thing. And just seeing people from all different backgrounds, all different communities getting involved and getting together to rally and protest and say, look, we cannot have this no more.
The government's response to the BLM movement was to commission a report into race relations. It found no evidence that Britain is institutionally racist. Stuart meets a young black frontline officer in the Met.
So what is the sort of attitude and viewpoint from your friends in front of you about you donning this beautiful uniform and giving your service to our community?
So I grew up in South London and Nigeria, so it won't be a surprise to hear that I've had friends who have been on the wrong side of the law.
100%.
And you know, I have to make decisions on what sort of relations I can have with some of these people.
Sure.
Naturally, you know, I have lost friends.
How's that though? Come on now. Like,
I mean,
are these friends that you've had from childhood as well?
Yes, friends from childhood. I've lost friends, but I've gained friends as well.
Sure. I don't know if this is true or not, and I'd like to hear if you know this or not. But taking the knee.
Yes.
Is this something that you've been told that you can't do? Are you allowed to do it if you wanted to? I know there was a few little questions around a few officers in more the central London protests in doing that.
I'm not doing that because it's a hard question.
It's a hot question.
I've got like too much cocoa butter on mine. Taking the knee. So no one has actually told me whether I should or should not take the knee.
Sure. Would you though? Would you take the knee?
I'm going to be very honest with this.
Please,
I'm very ambivalent.
Yeah.
Some days you watch certain things, you see certain things, you're riled up a little bit, and then you go to work the next day, you're like, I'm definitely going to be taking the knee.
Yeah.
And other days you're like, wait, let me take a step back and try to see things in a more objective manner. I mean, taking the knee is largely a symbolic gesture.
Yeah.
You know, does it necessarily change our practices in of itself? Debatable.
One of the most iconic moments of the BLM movement was the toppling of a statue in Bristol. The statue of slave trader Edward Colston was torn down by a group of activists.
It looked like the city came together.
It changes things because people start talking. But what we've got to be careful of not to do is mistake events for systemic change.
Sure.
Right? Processes that 100%. Are kicked off.
Yeah.
And what we had was a very symbolic moment, but we also have to be acutely aware that history in a fight against racism is full of very symbolic moments that we're emotionally engaged in and produce nothing.
Yeah.
And that has then been a pathway to increased cynicism and despair.
Yeah.
So it's constant. You have to take every opportunity that comes, and that was only an opportunity.
Definitely.
Bristol has a thriving Afro-Caribbean community. Right in the heart of it is Glenn's Kitchen. What did the toppling of the statue mean to the people there?
Well, it should make a difference now because people are standing up for what is right. If it costs, some people be offended, some people feel, you know, so it's just one of those things, you know what I mean? People just have to just move on.
Yeah.
Back in the days, it was hard because you go downtown and you're walking with a girl, you know, maybe an English girl, you know, you will get abuse and they want to attack you.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen no more.
Yeah.
Black lives does matter. We're in this world right now, we're just gonna have to live together.
100%.
We have to live together, man, and put away all those foolishness and just live in one unity and love, you know what I mean?
I just wanted to see how far we have come from a year on. You know, has anything changed? Has people's mindsets changed? I think the one thing that sticks to my mind is people still feel like in certain corners their voices are not being heard.
Why did George Floyd's murder really hit home with people in the UK?
They saw injustices happen over here with the stop and search figures. the death in police custodies, the layers of the institutions that discriminate against you. We've got problems and issues over here as well.
If you were to offer George Floyd's family any advice, what would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a hard one, because everyone's journey through grief is different, especially if it's someone that's been ripped away from you without any cause or reason. That's harder to take. The only piece of advice I could give is that, you know, there will be a day where you will feel like being happy again.